Hey everybody, it's Cosmo here, and as with all my game playthroughs, I like to give a little introduction to the game that I'm going to be playing. And today it's going to be MDK, a game that is so old that even I thought, am I really going to play this? But yes, I am. It's a classic game. It's got a few good memories for me, but it's mainly the fact that it's a game made by Shiny, who are famous for making Earthworm Jim and a few other games which we may explore at some point in the near future. Now, just to give you an idea of how old it is, I mean 1997, at that time the console war was basically between the Saturn and the PlayStation, and that's it. You know, the PC was there, but it wasn't really considered a sort of contender of things. I mean, we're talking Windows 95. The Pentium processor had only recently come out. In fact, MDK was one of the first few games that actually demanded a Pentium processor. You know, that's how old this game is. You know, it's old enough to nearly drink it, well, nearly old enough to drink in this country. So, MDK, what is it? Well, it's described as an action shooter with a sense of humour. So pretty much just like Earthworm Jim, it's got a good sort of humorous take on basically running around and shooting aliens. Now, there's not much really plot to the actual game other than what you're about to see, and like all games from that kind of era, there is no sort of story full motion video or anything else like that. The characters don't really talk. The only real briefings, I think, are all text based. So most of the story comes from the instruction booklet. Now, I'll give you a run through of the story in a minute, but if you want to find out for yourself, the best way is to look at the Wikipedia page or look at any guides, because, you know, to be honest, you don't really need it, but it gives you a general idea of what the game's about and who's involved and everything, and even what MDK stands for. Although that could be a bit dubious, it sounds a bit sort of organised, if you see what I mean. But that's something else to be considered about. Now, there are sort of two reasons why I'm playing MDK. One is because it's a classic game. I owned it. I bought it when it first came out and enjoyed it. I think I completed it once or twice, but you know, back then things were a lot different. You know, the games that were around then didn't have half as much stuff as they do now. In fact, they didn't have a tenth of what they have now. And MDK had a lot of cool ideas. You might watch the playthrough and say, well, this game has that idea and this game has that idea. But you've got to remember that this game is almost 18 years old, so it probably had it before all of them, and it might have even influenced them. But I'm not even going to begin to say what it did or didn't do, because there's no way of telling. Now, the second reason is because of MDK 2, a sequel that came out 3 years later and built by a famous company, BioWare, before they became more Mass Effect-y and everything. So, Mass Effect 2, oh dear, MDK 2 is a good game, and it will be played as well because it deserves a good playthrough. And hopefully, if you watch this playthrough and then watch the other playthrough of MDK 2, you'll see the big differences and how they took the theme from MDK 1 and put it in 2. Now, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Put over here to my notes. Yes, so now it is a game on Steam, and there is an unofficial patch to basically make it more user-friendly to the modern systems. I have implemented it. It can be made widescreen, but after looking at it in widescreen, it makes it look a bit odd and distorted. So I'm going to keep it in the 4:3 ratio. So in a little bit, this little box right here is going to change shape and it'll appear on your screen. Now, what else was I going to say? Now, from what I can remember, you basically can save the game in between missions. I don't think you can actually save during the missions. So for those guys on YouTube, you may notice that there's edit points if I die during a mission. It might be quite subtle and you might not notice it, but in any case, if the deaths are quite numerous, then maybe I'll do a death counter and outtakes at the end of the playthrough. Who knows? Now, so onto the story. So what is the story of MDK? Well, like I said, it's fairly simple. and straightforward. But MDK is supposed to stand for Max, Dr. Hawkins, and Kurt Hectic. Now, Dr. Hawkins is apparently the scientist that invents lots of interesting kind of things. He's an eccentric inventor, and he goes to the scientific community, and they sort of say, "You're talking a pile of crap. Out you go." So he builds a space station called the Jim Dandy, bribes his janitor Kurt Hectic, and launches himself and launches both of them into self-imposed exile into Earth's orbit, until coming up with something very interesting, or some really good stuff. I think the official word is. And then he begins work on a robotic dog that he calls Bones, although apparently the dog prefers Max. So now you see where the Max part comes from. So I think it's kind of shoehorned in there. One day he notices streams of energy headed towards Earth, and he tries to send down a warning to Earth, but it's too late. The energy streams open up, and huge numbers of aliens come through with these mine crawlers, and they're giant fortress things, sort of designed to mine all the materials and crush everything in its path. So Dr. Hawkins comes up with this plan to launch someone in a new coil suit, which is some sort of armor. I think the armor suit is capable of repelling bullets, bees, and small but very hard sticks. So there's the sense of humor. And it also has a reusable ribbon chute for parachuting or gliding, especially as well as an arm-mounted chain gun and a sniper rifle. So that's a concept that's quite new, is a sniper rifle in a game. So it's the perfect weapon, but because the Doctor's too old to wear it, and Max has 4 arms or 6 legs or whatever you want to call it, has an extra pair of legs, Kurt's the only one who can wear it. So he becomes the hero of the games, and that's who you play. You play this sort of reluctant hero who skydives onto these moving platform fortress things and destroys them from the inside out. And I think there's 6 or 7 levels in which you have to sort of undertake this mission. So there you go. Quite straightforward, quite simple. So that's about it, I think. Anyway, I've waffled enough, and I'm going to fire this up. So I'm going to make it so that you see the 4x3 border with a pink spit. There we go. And then we're going to open up this. Oh, it's not working. It was working. Why are you not working now, you stupid thing? Hang on. Close that. Change that. Open this. There we go. There's Kurt shining the ball. Yep. There we go. I've got to love the music. It's a lovely little sort of generous undertones for epicness. Anyway.